There's nobody in here, but I'm gonna start getting my shit together, so. Okay. I need 2.5 cups of flour, question mark. This is kind of cute. Two and a half cups of flour. I'm gonna do it by grams because I can. Also because I might need to use a mix of different flours, so I'm gonna get my handy dandy scale out. I did just wash my hands. And start putting some of this together. Working on my mise en place just because it makes it a lot easier to know what I've got measured already, what I need to be measuring still, everything ready to go. There are different schools of thought on the best way to measure, and really that comes down to whether you're doing it by weight or volume. If you're doing it by weight, it doesn't matter so much whether I dump it in one go or do it in a spoon like this. I just feel like I have more control over it this way. So yeah, 2.5 cups, or we want 313 grams. We're at 60, question mark, 64. $178. 211. 248. Hi, Jax. Okay, 313 grams. Technically it's 314, but I don't really care. Of all-purpose flour. I also need 1 1/4 teaspoons of sugar. It's really not that much sugar. We're making pretty savory biscuits today. I'm gonna make, this is a new recipe. It is the Bon Appetit, basically sour cream and onion biscuits, because they were aggressively marketed to me. 1 teaspoon plus 1/4 teaspoon. So that's flour and sugar, ready to go. What else do I need? Baking soda and baking powder. We'll put those together in here. So baking powder, we're gonna do 1 3/4 teaspoons. And I am, for once in my life, doing this recipe just completely the way the recipe says it, which is rare for me. But actually that's a complete straight up lie. I'm substituting a couple things. What am I doing? I said it out loud, but 1 3/4. 1. These are not my measuring spoons, and I don't like when they're connected like this. Baking powder, and I forgot to grab the baking soda, so give me 1 second. Brand new box of baking soda. Very exciting for everyone involved, I know. I need 1/2 teaspoon of this. So my roommate went out to go shopping, kind of just to get a sense of what still is on the shelves and also to get a few basics that we like to keep around the house. She's gone to 3 stores. and found like plenty of groceries, but half of what she wanted to get, she was not able to find. But also she's definitely gonna like come home while I'm in the middle of whatever this is, which is gonna be funny for some of us. Okay, I also have 12 tablespoons of chilled butter that needs to get chopped into very small pieces. So far, this is a pretty basic biscuit recipe. Like most pastry, there was some stuff left on the shelf. She went to Kroger and Target and Publix. Seem to be what we're seeing, like paper goods and soap and cleaning supplies are a little thin on the ground right now, but not completely gone. Trader Joe's was closed. She did find butter, which is good because I'm clearly using all the butter we had in the house. I don't know, she wasn't able to find some of like stock dried goods and canned goods, like lentils, veggie broth, some diced tomatoes in the can. Okay, my only watcher, thanks Jackson, is gonna go, but that's okay. I'm just gonna keep cutting butter. Oh, so yeah, this recipe is pretty basic on biscuits. It does use a specific technique that I'm interested to try, which is why I'm making it. But in general, you are creating layers of flour, like dough and butter, the same way you create, the way you make a pie crust, the same way you do for croissant dough or other, you know, enriched doughs, so that when this is in the oven and the dough starts to cook and starts to bake, the butter melts at a different rate and creates these beautiful airy pockets in between, hi Megan, in between the dough that creates those flaky layers. Megan, what do you want me to talk about? Because I'm just talking about butter. And I mean, butter's pretty great, but also I'm gonna put this back in the fridge to chill. It's getting pretty warm out here. It's pretty humid in this house right now. I'm not entirely sure why. The air is on, which is, you know, a little bit extreme for March, but what can you do? Okay, I need to do a little bit more chopping, so I'm gonna go wash my knife because this is my favorite knife. Lamination maybe is the word you're looking for. When you have the layers of butter that melt, it's the way you work to like build layers into other things. Hi Ryan, no. It is sort of what I'm doing, Megan. So I'm making biscuit dough, which normally does not involve layers of folding. This one will, which is why I was sort of intrigued to make this recipe. It is a Bon Appetit recipe. It is their like sour cream and onion one, which is new. It's on there basically, and I haven't made it yet. We're gonna find out. It does call for a lot of chopped green onions. Holly got me like freaking honkin' green onions, so it's just gonna be very oniony, which is good. I like scallions. But yeah, so this recipe is gonna use a little bit of classic butter, like you work in just chunks of it into the dough as you go. And sorry, it is hard to like read. But yeah, so yeah, I am following a Bon Appetit recipe that focuses on the combination of normal butter technique, where you, I don't know if you can hear me over those bowls shaking, but where you like work chunks of dough into the entire, chunks of butter into the entire dough, make those little pockets, and also uses folding techniques that should, in theory, create those flaky layers in a much more even way than you normally get with biscuit dough, which is where I think a lot of us run into issues with biscuits and getting that even so that they rise evenly and come out beautiful. I also struggle with biscuits. Also, I could have chopped these finer, but I really like green onions, so I'm gonna leave them kind of big and hope we get things a little bit more flavorful throughout. Might be a mistake, we'll find out. That is 100% just my approach to baking. I know enough of the chemistry and basics where I know it's not gonna, you know, sometimes it might explode in the oven, but otherwise it'll just be kind of fun to see what happens. So that did not go through all the way. That's what happens when you chop 8 scallions at once, but that'll be fine, it'll get mixed in. I am preparing on my dining room table. I am drinking my first glass of wine, but I have not really eaten anything other than hot Cheetos today, so it might turn into drunk cooking, but that is an entirely different show. Okay, so flour done, sugar done, baking powder, baking sugar done, butter chopped, it's in the fridge cooling again, scallions chopped. That seems like it's oh, I gotta do my sour cream. I am a little bit low on sour cream since we are pantry cooking right now. And I'm gonna try and mix it with, I was gonna do yogurt, my yogurt went off. I'm gonna try and use ricotta. We'll see. Could be really weird. Also, I totally brought out so many different things that I was gonna need for this and then forgot, you know, a spatula, so sometimes you can forget the basics. I don't know if I answered this, but I am working on my dining room table because it was easier to set up this weird setup. My counter, there's basically just no counter space in this house. It's very shallow for one thing, which makes it hard, like this barely fits on it. So I like to come out here and just do all kinds of stuff when I need to do things that I'm in a roll. Also, I should be wearing an apron, but whatever, I can do laundry, I have nothing else to do. How much of this do I need? Anybody know? 1 1/4 cups. 1 cup. 1/4 cup. My mom is really, strict is a wrong word for this, but basically if I didn't know solid knife skills, I would not have made it to adulthood. That was one of the things that you learn in my house, is how to do it right. Partially because it doesn't cook evenly if you don't cut it all the same size or get everything even, and that messes up your cooking time and your food just doesn't come out as good. Obviously, you can make a perfectly beautiful dish with imperfect chopped vegetables. Nothing has to be perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. It's just a good technique to have in order to make things cook more evenly and have more control over what you're cooking. All right, here's the fun part. I'm a little bit low on various dairy products, so I am going to see what I can substitute with, which is gonna be some fun dead air for you guys. Here, look at this unholy sour cream ricotta mix while I'm gone for a minute. Have fun. I'll be right back. I don't know, my dudes. Yeah, I kicked the laundry basket and my toes really hurt. Also, Holly's home. I am going to keep some milk on hand. So if as I'm working in, it feels too dry and I'm worried about it baking in the oven, I can work a little bit of that in, but I don't want to do it 1 for 1 because milk is obviously more liquid than sour cream or Greek yogurt or ricotta cheese. So I don't want to mess up the texture too much until I know what it's like once I get my hands in there. Hell of a time to have some allergies. Okay. She's also on the phone, so. I am going to, oh, I did a little bit of work ahead of time. I melted some butter. I might need to run that through a little bit. It's for brushing on at the end, but I just wanted to let you know that I did cheat a little bit and do some of this work ahead of time. So I am mixing my dry ingredients together. Let me tidy up my space a little bit. Which to me means putting stuff out of the camera and doesn't do much for what you guys are seeing. Okay, so I am taking I'm thinking things through before I do them, clearly. I am taking 2.5 teaspoons of, they're using Diamond Crystal or Morton salt. Different types of salt have different saltiness. So it's kind of, you go based on the salt brand you're using, which is kind of weird. Most other things are like, well, if it's, you know, it's salt, you do this. If it's flour, you do this amount. But actually, that's not really true either for flour. So it's just really follow your recipe and or know your ingredients. This calls for 2.5 teaspoons. I'm gonna do like 2.25. This is pretty salty. I can make it saltier later if I need to, but that should be pretty solid. Just cutting back on that a little bit. I'm going to fresh grind some pepper into this. There is a giant bug. Ugh. It's a very large. I'm just gonna grind. I can't, okay, so my phone is taped to a lamp. I can't really show you the bug. Here. Maybe I'll do a little bit more of that in there. 1 teaspoon. That's probably about enough. And then it calls for, like I said, 1 3/4 teaspoons baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon baking soda. That's what's in here. I need 1 1/4 teaspoon sugar. And then this is 2.5 cups of flour. I measured it based on weight, so it's 313 grams of flour because I find that easier. And I'm gonna mix this all together to get my dry ingredients good to go. I thought about sifting it because that would be better, but also I don't want to. So I just couldn't get it set up in the space I have to where you could see my face and my hands, but now you get to see all the weird hand shit I do all of the time. This is regular all-purpose flour. So this happens to be Holly's that I'm stealing, but it is Gold Medal all-purpose brand. You can use anything. I have some King Arthur out here too, just in case I decided to do that, but it's a different blend, so I would have to weigh it in order to make sure I'm getting the right amount for balance, because different flours have different proteins, which is why you're gonna use them for slightly different things. And that was like Kroger brand sugar, just white granulated sugar, normal. So I just wanna get this fairly mixed together. Doesn't have to go crazy. Okay. So oops. That's fine. I have 10 tablespoons of just butter that I have chopped into small pieces, which you watched happened. And I'm gonna mix these in. And the way we're gonna do this is a lot like when you're making pie dough. So you wanna mix it, and I could use a pastry cutter for this. I might actually use a pastry cutter at some point, but you kind of just mix it. So you want all of these little pieces of butter to be coated in flour. So they're all like sticking together, but then you wanna start squeezing it. I'm making them smaller and making it so the whole thing comes to the texture of breadcrumbs. And we'll work this until we get there, because that's kind of confusing when you just read it. But the idea of this is to, again, get these little pockets of butter worked through the whole mess, and it'll start coming together eventually into a dough. My wrists are kind of, I mean, I've injured them over the years between tennis and golf and all kinds of stuff, so sometimes this just takes longer than my hands are able to handle, which is a personal problem. Which is when a pastry cutter comes in handy. Pastry cutter is also really useful because it helps the heat from your hands is then not relevant. You just sort of like, so here's a chunk of butter. I'm just gonna put this in the flour and then just sort of squeeze it until it becomes like a smaller piece, and all of it is coated by flour. I think I skipped finishing a thought in there, but I'm not sure where. So I don't make biscuits that much. I did one time when we went to the cabin and I tried to make biscuits, and I was like using a mix and followed the directions perfectly, and they were terrible. That may be the last time I made biscuits. I'm also kind of trying to, I'm gonna grab my pastry cutter, like save activities, save quarantine activities. Like for when I'm more bored. So, pastry cutter, use it as a potato masher, use all kinds of things. This just helps cut through all those pieces, breaks them up, mixes it in there a lot easier. People also, a lot of times for pie crust, want to use a food processor now. I don't think I've, maybe once. Seems like a pretty efficient way to do it. Just get that going, it cuts it all up quickly, so everything stays cold the way you want it to, and you don't have to put in all this elbow grease. This doesn't take that much longer. So this, I mean, I still got a little bit ways to go, but you can see how the breadcrumbs description comes. It's a little bit like chunkier than just flour. You want to get everything, again, down to about the same size if you can. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I say making an untested recipe that I've never tried before, that maybe it does need to be perfect. But we'll end up with something. It's about done. I just want it to be pretty even throughout. And it has a different texture because you can sort of feel the moisture. You can feel the moisture in the mix that comes from the butter. So it has a little bit of a different feel than just a bowl of flour. The color has changed too. I don't know if you can really see that, but the yellow of that butter has turned this into kind of an ivory. I think, so to your question, Megan, about whether biscuits, bread, or croissants are difficult, it's all just like a matter of practice and timing. I think biscuits are the most, well, we'll see. Croissants just take time and precision. So if you know what you're doing, I mean, I sort of know what I'm doing on those. You can kind of just get, like, do the work, and it'll work out. Do I need to save any of these? Sorry, hang on. No, we're all going in. So when I was in middle school, there was some project that we had to do on famous people. I really do not know what this project was, but for some reason I got Milton Snavely Hershey, the guy who invented the Hershey Company. And so for part of the project presentation, these are not cut that well, sorry. I decided to make a cake, and then I decided to film us making the cake. So this is not the first time I've ever done a cooking show. And that footage, I have the tape, but my camcorder from those days doesn't work anymore. Like it sort of does, but I can't get anything done. So the footage still exists, and it is, as I remember, hilarious, but I cannot unfortunately present cooking with cocoa to you today. Now I'm gonna do, again, following the directions on this one, a good way to get wet ingredients into dry ingredients is to make a well in the middle of the dry ingredients. This way you're already like at a good place to get it all the way to the bottom and get it, you know, mix it all around, and you're not just like pouring it on top and it's hard to get a handle on all of it. So this gets you access to a lot more surface area that you can put it all in. So this says do it with a fork. I don't really want to. So here's my approximately a little bit more than a cup of dairy products, and like I said, we'll see if this feels like it's enough or if I need to put in some milk, but that's not a one-to-one conversion, so that's all going to be trial and error, which is, again, pretty much the way I bake. I've made you all eat some really weird things over the years. So to read you the directions on this, it says create a well. Working in circles, mix until large shaggy clumps form. So you'll see it start to come together. I'm trying to break up that chunk a little bit. In case you're wondering, Holly is putting away groceries. And so we're starting to get those like large shaggy chunks, but they're a little too large in my opinion. We want to start mixing this throughout the entire so it comes together. I'm trying to make a pretty, oops, I am stirring enthusiastically. You want it to come together like a dough. This is the dairy product in there. It's gonna help it come together. In other pastries, you could use egg, you could use water. In pie crust, different things will make the dough do different things. So this is pretty dry. I don't know if you can really tell the difference, but even as I'm starting to like, there's still plenty here. It needs a little bit more something in there. So I'm gonna put some milk in there, but a little bit at a time. Because again, it is looser than, it's probably about a tablespoon. It's looser than what the recipe calls for as its liquid. So I don't wanna dry this up too much. With biscuits, you kinda wanna not overwork them. So I'm trying to just get this to where it is mixed throughout. And it's holding together, but not too much more than that. You guys can't smell this, but it smells really good. I mean, it just smells like green onions, but that is a beautiful, beautiful smell. It's about another tablespoon. I just sort of trust myself to know what a tablespoon is, but the other day I did kind of go in and have to pour something that I'd guessed into a tablespoon measure, and it was perfect. So I'm not saying every pour is perfect, but I do know that my guess on a tablespoon is pretty good. So mix this in a little bit. Try not to pull everything off the table in the process. It does smell like sour cream and onion chips, in case you're wondering. Okay. It's a little bit too wet. That was what I was worried about. I'll just mix a little bit more flour in. So I'm messing with the recipe a little bit, but this is kind of depending on how humid your day is or what altitude you're at or any number of things, kind of how any pastry recipe can go. I'm gonna cheat. Tastes like biscuit dough. Okay, I'm gonna go wash my hands and then I'm gonna flour the surface and start rolling this out a little bit. It doesn't take a lot of rolling, but some folds that are gonna get that fancy action that we were talking about earlier. It's just me. What? Narrating my baking. Ooh, cookies. probably got hand soap. It's very exciting. Okay. So, this recipe, as I said, calls for folding the biscuit dough, folding like the lamination you do on any sort of flaky dough, like croissants. They're pretty much the most famous version of that, but puff pastry, rough puff, anything like that where you fold the layers of butter in. And we're going to try and do that here too. This is all just what came out of the bowl, so we're going to work it in. So like I said, was being kind of enthusiastic with my stirring earlier. Hang on, it's wine time. Also, I can see this just like slowly moving as we go. Okay. Lightly flour your surface. Just so your dough doesn't stick too much, it makes it easier. It's very wet, so I'm putting a little bit more in here than I normally would. I'm also going to flour a little bit on top of it once it comes out. So, let you know what I'm doing. So we turn out into a lightly floured surface and then knead once or twice until it comes together. It recommends flouring your hands. That helps it not stick to your hands too, like it just was all those little chunks. Tasted good, but not effective. Work it together, and then I'm gonna pat it into a rectangle, and then I'm gonna fold the dough, and then flatten it out a little bit more, and then fold it the other way, like a book fold, and flatten it out. So that gives us a big rectangle, and then I cut then into biscuits. So there'll be 2 folds total, which will create those layers that we're looking for. Plus all the little layers that we've already worked in there. Are you okay?
There's a bug.
Oh, is it back?
Sorry, there's just a bug. I don't like the bug.
The bug is back.
Oh, I didn't get him though.
We gotta get him. Oh.
I don't know what he is.
I think it's one of those like non-mosquitoes.
He looks like a mosquito, but he's not.
He's very big.
In the living room, floating around.
It's on the carpet. This must be great viewing.
Anyway, we're gonna go back to your baking show. I'll take this one. I'll rescue it.
There might be some assassinations in the background. Okay. Actually came out of the bowl pretty clean, which I'm impressed. I thought it was gonna stick a lot more. So here's my biscuit dough. It's kind of juicy, full of these onions, these big old onions. That is a very big bug. Onion chunks. It's about now that I want another bench scraper out here, but that just feels like a lot more dishes, so I'm not gonna worry about that. All right, so I'm gonna need this. Like I said, it's a little bit wet, so I'm gonna get a little bit of this flour in here. But again, try not to go overboard on biscuits, because it makes them hotter with any pastry. The more you work it, the hotter it gets, and also the stronger that gluten formation is, which is not super what we're going for in a biscuit. So, I was talking to Jared about this earlier. I have a very nice baking mat that I got for probably $6 on clearance at Kroger, which is a beautiful place to check out for these things. That helps me measure. It makes it really easy. But you can kind of just go by feel. So I'm looking for a rectangle that's approximately 8 inches by approximately 4 inches. This is about 8 by 5. I'm gonna leave it. It seems fine. It seems like a solid thickness, not too over the top. Good to go. So, like the recipe said, we're gonna do an envelope fold. So you kind of just take it, this 1/3, and fold it back over the rest of it. You don't fold it necessarily in half because you're trying to like get yourself more options for layers. So you fold the dough in thirds, just like you're folding a letter, like this. Now, with different dough, it might look a little bit different. Some you'd have worked and kneaded more so that lamination's a little bit smoother and it looks a little silkier. But that's okay, we're not going for silky, we're going for biscuits. Big, fluffy, flaky biscuits. This dough feels really good, by the way. This is a new recipe. Who knows what'll happen down the line. Still gotta bake them, which is always the true test. Sorry, we're sticking a little bit down here. So, get that in there. And then, once again, we could go another inch or so this way. Just sort of patting it, trying to make it even and get some of this extra content down, so it's back to about 8. Yeah, by about 5. It got a little bit wider, but that's okay. And then once again, I'm gonna go from this side. There's no necessarily reason to do one or the other, but I fold it up just like I'm folding a letter. And there we go. One last push. And I can feel those chunks of butter in here. So that's a good sign. It means it hasn't gotten too hot. You could do this with a rolling pin if you want to. That's sort of preference at this point. If you were doing this with croissant dough or something to that style, I might recommend that a little bit more because you're gonna really wanna work and stretch that to a much wider piece than I'm doing right here. It's basically like I'm already back to it. So there wasn't really a need to get that out and stretch the dough and work on that gluten because this is just biscuits. Biscuits that are sticking a little bit. Okay. That's about all the work I need to do to this. So the next thing I'm gonna do is cut this into some pieces and get it on a tray. I'm gonna wash my hands again though. We'll have to go melt that butter again in a second, but so I'm gonna make 8 biscuits out of this. Where's my knife? Where is my knife? There it is. That's a bad place for it. Hello. A sharp knife is your best friend. I mean, like, I hope you have real friends too, but I don't know, a knife's not bad if it's what you got. And then pull out the baking tray, which you've already put parchment on because you thought ahead. And then you can transfer these over. You're gonna wanna leave some space between them because hopefully they're gonna rise. And you wanna be able to let them have that space to do that. Also warning you that there's gonna be a little bit more of this, and then these have to go in the oven for 18 to 22 minutes. So I don't know what we're gonna do for 18 to 22 minutes. These are really, they feel really nice. They're heavy for their size, in a good way. They smell really good. And I think, unless something terrible happens in the oven, these are gonna turn out pretty good. So I do need to leave you for another second because I gotta remelt this butter. It, got too solidified and I want to be able to brush the tops of these with that. So, I don't know, entertain yourselves for a minute. Why don't you guys tell me what your, like if you, now that we have all this time, like what your dream thing to bake would be. really fancy fruit tart. Megan, I think you can do that. And I think you should. You can use whatever fruit you find at the grocery store and just make some pie crust, or buy some pie crust if there is some there. No shame in that. Stuff can be pretty good. I have a tart pan if you want to figure out a way. I'll do a dead drop. That's not what it's called. Is that what it's called? I'll leave it outside your house and you can go get it. So I am here. Okay. I'm brushing these with butter, unsalted melted butter. Making the pie crust. I have a really good pie crust recipe that I think you should look into. Pizza rolls a microwave food or an oven food? How much time do you have? Because like they're an oven food, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm just sort of like dotting instead of brushing. It's the same. Yeah, no, they're definitely crispier, but like, again, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, brush these with unsalted butter, but I am gonna go back. Oh, definitely do the oven then, Ryan, there's so much butter. Go back and sprinkle these with some salt. And the reason you use unsalted butter and then maybe add salt is because then you can control the amount of saltiness. It's not gonna be the end of the world if you use salted butter, but just make sure you're testing it all the way through. So I do recommend testing your dough. You gotta taste it. That's the only way to know that what you're cooking is gonna turn out good. So sometimes that involves, that was a lot of salt. Okay, I'm gonna be smart because we're in quarantine and not just put it back in there. I think they're good to go in the oven. Let me check my recipe one last time. The oven, which has been preheated to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Brush, sprinkle with salt, bake until golden brown, 18 to 22 minutes. Say goodbye. And maybe they'll be beautiful when we see them later. What's that timer? If I can remember. I'm gonna check them in 10 minutes and rotate. Our oven is, it definitely like will go to a true temperature. This is not gonna stay. Great. It'll go to a true temperature, but it's got like hot spots and doesn't stay the same temperature the whole place, the whole time. So normally now I would go wash some stuff. What do you guys want to do? Do you want to stand here for 20 minutes while this bakes, or do you want me to let you know when I'm bringing them out of the oven? Or I can just stand here and drink wine and, I don't know, you can see half of my face. That's better. I fixed it. What's up? Again, I'm only just sort of reading that URL, but pomegranate sounds really good. I don't know about you guys, but I spent all day doing my budget. It's fun times over here. I didn't go for a walk because it was raining and I feel weird that I didn't go for my now daily extremely long walks. I just got a new Twitter follower. Okay. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe you guys can watch me kill a bug. It's really big. I don't wanna like waste a paper towel. We have so few paper towels. Ooh, 9 viewers. It's exciting, I'm just being, oh, I have 17 missed text messages. Do you guys, well, I know you guys have this group chat, but like, my group chats are just popping this week because nobody has anything else to do. Yeah, yikes. Okay, I'm gonna leave this going, I guess, but it'll probably, maybe I did duct tape my phone to a thing. You know, I don't know. I think I'm not as much of a biscuit person as like Jared is and Holly is, so I don't have a favorite biscuit. I've been to Biscuit Love, obviously. I've had a Loveless biscuit, those are good. Those are supposed to be the gold standard, but those are the ones I tried to make that just did not work. Could have been user error, I don't know. There's also Biscuit House in East Nashville. I've never been there, but I hear good things about whatever that place is called. I'm just gonna pull up a chair. Hang on. We got our census thing in the mail. Which I know we're supposed to do like online. Giant bug. So yeah, now we can do our census. Something to do. I sort of said this earlier, but I'm really trying to like ration my social isolation like distractions so that I don't run out of things that I want to do this week. Like last week I was like, oh, I gotta do this and do this and do this, and I'm like, maybe wait a few days on a couple of those so that you don't like run through everything right away. But I think I'm gonna pick my cross stitch back up. My god, I am like an old lady inside. Also, I'm really excited that they're gonna start that they're just opening up the options for delivery, because there are things that I did not get at the grocery store. It landed on me. It's huge. I feel like a cat just watching it. Where did you go? I should do a plant tour. I will stream during the census if I make it through tonight. I gotta get this thing. Sorry guys, my nemesis, this bug, is just hovering. How much time is left? It's already been 5 minutes, which is good, so I can go check these in a minute. I guess I could probably bring you guys with me. I would have to unduct tape the phone, so that might cause some problems later on, but it could be kind of fun. Like a field trip to the oven. We don't have a window on our oven because this house was built in 1959 and it maybe has been updated since then. So I have to open it, which is not ideal for baking because you want to, the idea of an oven, it gets it like surrounds with heat, keeps it all in there, cooks evenly. Sometimes you gotta do it. Also, it kind of smells like something is burning. It kind of smells like something is burning. We're back. Nothing's on fire. I think it's just because those scallions are kind of big and sticking out, which looks good. They might get a little bit crispy, which honestly I like. Also, I'm just gonna eat some dough. It's good. It's very savory. It's not too salty, but it's got like the depth of flavor from the onions. And buttery, and it's good. I haven't left my house today. Actually, that's a complete lie. I drove to Smyrna and back because I went to IKEA last weekend. I braved it because my friend Courtney, she's a photographer with us, and she lost her apartment in the tornado, so we had to go to kind of just like replace almost everything. She was able to save a lot of like her kitchen stuff, and most of her clothes and most of her things, but her bed was destroyed. She had to get a new mattress and bed frame and all that. There were just like shards of glass in it. Like it was not good. So we went to IKEA, spent a lot of money, but like restocked her entire life, which is awesome. But I was there and I picked up stuff because I casually mentioned it to my old boss that I was going, and she's like, oh, let me figure out what I need. And sent me like a laundry list of things to pick up. It's actually a shorter list than the last time. So yeah. Megan ordered an indoor garden 6 months ago, but never planted the seeds. Yes, very likely, especially since it's only been 6 months. Seeds are designed to like live and hunker, and that's what they're for. So they should be able to sprout in there. If it was like 6 years, you might want to try and find some fresh ones, but I would say they're fine. I got a new plant at IKEA. Let's see if you can see this baby. That one. It's called a euphorbia, but I don't know what kind. I've been trying to like Google image search. Kind of working. And that one is in the office, and it used to be like completely dead, and now it just needs a lot of water. Which is, you know, hard to keep up with, but still kind of cool. I don't know if you can get coronavirus from a toilet seat. Definitely a toilet seat could hold the virus. I think it's unlikely that you are going to, I don't know your life, but sit on it, get it on your butt, get it on your hands, not wash your hands, and then get it in your eyes, nose, or mouth. But maybe that's how you live your life. So I guess, technically, but please don't. I feel like the worst way to get it. Don't do that. Oh, also I'm babysitting a plant. 41 seconds left on the timer, guys. Until I get to turn them. This is my coworker Natalie's plant. She left Nashville to go to Africa. She went to Morocco, a couple different places in Morocco, and she was supposed to go to a couple more countries and then leave out of Spain. And then all of a sudden, you know, the world changed, and she was out there. So I have her plant home from the office. Ooh, I need Janelle's advice on this because they look like a cat. Yeah! Fuck. I just got time bombed. Great. I don't know what to do. But check the biscuits. I'm gonna go check the biscuits. I need Janelle's advice. Also, I think the sap is poisonous, so I'm gonna try to not put a cat near it or something. Let's try this. Let's try this. I'm sure that's a beautiful noise. Okay. Biscuits. They're rising for sure, which is good news. We're just gonna spin them around because, like I said, my oven doesn't heat evenly. Starting to get some rise and some browning on these, which is beautiful. There's some stuff on the counter there. This is how messy it is, actually. And then we can take that and turn it into... Sorry, that's just not gonna work anymore. I'm gonna put those in for 8 more minutes. Also, hello, humidity. I don't think it needs another 10. I'll check it in 8. We should, sorry, hopefully be enough time. It's be really bouncy for a second. Enough time for them to fully brown. What's up, guys? Anyway, biscuits browning. Be good. But yeah, plants are good. I bought that last week at IKEA so that I could just have a new friend. It was also like $18 and it should be like $80. It's a very big plant to be getting that cheap. My life is just plants and biscuits now. Which honestly could be like a lot worse, so, you know, I'll take it. I don't even know what I'm listening to. This is how long we have left. I had to like prepare more content for these. This was just half-assed. We had a staff meeting today via Zoom, which was weird because like nobody ever goes to staff meetings anyway, so to have to go to one was like kind of weird. But my boss, like boss's boss's boss, was like shaming the other editors for not like getting dressed to go to work. I was like grooming at all for how they showed up on the video call. And it's like, nobody's going anywhere. You don't have to put on a suit and tie. Although our one editor who does like always wear a suit and tie to work, it's just like full beard, baseball hat all the time. Big change for Ben there. But we're all getting through it. I still like, well, I didn't work today, but I still keep like, I have to get up and put clothes on because otherwise I just like, what am I even doing? I wouldn't spend all day in pajamas. I don't know. I just like have to get dressed. I am wearing the exact same outfit I wore yesterday, but I didn't like go anywhere or do anything. Just sat at my computer and typed some words. That's my whole job, but sounds like, I don't know if you guys read this story. I don't know what stories of mine you guys read. You should subscribe. But I did a story. I talked to a bunch of people who were stranded in Peru. They were American citizens and they were on vacation or, on sabbatical and sort of studying down there informally, all kinds of stuff like that. And they're like unable to get any answers from the State Department or the embassy or anybody on when they're going to be able to come home. And that's kind of true of like everybody across the world, which makes sense. Like these lockdowns were not planned, not really thought out. We don't really know where anybody is, but it sounds like it's like getting in front of some people now and might actually like make some change, which is always a fun side effect. Kind of like the goal, I guess, but like I don't do advocacy journalism, so it's not like a direct goal, but hopefully they'll get to come home soon. They'll still have to be in quarantine when they get back here, but like I talked to this one couple, like he's a pharmacist, she's a doctor, and a couple are teachers, or they just want to get home to their kids, but the medical professionals are like, we want to be there and help. Like, we know that they need our expert, like, just, there are shortages, like, nobody's prepared for this, and we'd much rather be there, like, helping our hospitals, and they're not. So they'll figure that out when they get back, and they'll have to be in quarantine, but at least they can be a lot closer. I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's also weird to report on something that's sort of happening to you too. Like I'm at home, but the way that they are experiencing lockdown is pretty similar to like the advice of social isolation or self-isolation and social distancing of just like only go out for necessities. Like you can go for a walk, but like stay inside, don't gather in groups. You can only go for groceries and medicine and stuff, which is because I've just been working nonstop, pretty much what I've done for the last few days. And so normally as a reporter, like you go in trying to be just observing everything and not being part of the story, but this was weird because like I'm experiencing my own part of the story because it's all unprecedented and all weird and all locked down. But I do know that they have plenty of toilet paper in Peru, so different problems. At least I don't know, they've got that. We're in our homes. That started to sound pretty tone deaf, and I don't mean it that way. It's just like everything is so weird right now. I think I need some more wine. Although these are huge glasses, that was quite a lot already. I want the biscuits. Also, thank you, Jared, for texting me about plants. I'm excited to read that when it comes through. What should I make next? Any requests? I definitely have bread flour and whole wheat flour. I probably will make bread soon. I might restart my starter tonight, but flour's a little hard to come by, so we'll see about that. But it's time to restart my starter. I miss it. I miss that child. But yeah, I don't know. Bread is first on the list, but I'm kind of doing the like, well, let's wait and until there isn't bread in the grocery store, which I don't think is gonna happen. But if I just need it, I want to be able to make it. Also, my one of my colleagues like volunteered me to do basically this. So this is great practice for works. Thanks, guys. To demonstrate how to make bread. So good to know. Megan, what kind of pie? I have actually been thinking a lot about Atlantic Beach pie, which I know is the pie I make all the time, but it's just so fucking good. Or maybe like, ooh, an apple pie. We have a lot of apples. Apples seem to be available right now. Could do that. It's too humid to make meringue though. That would be a failure. Which would be just a waste of a lot of eggs at a time when eggs are not super easy to come by. Pastry or sponge cake. I did. My friend Melissa, who lives in Chicago, she was making a birthday cake for her mom, and like whatever recipe just like didn't work. So I sent her like my favorite chocolate cake recipe, which I found doing something else, and now I just like I'm thinking about making a chocolate cake, but it is like a triple layer cake, like huge cake recipe that Holly and I are not gonna get through. So that is, you know, one negative to not having an office to dump all of my baked goods on. All right, let's go see what these look like. How do I turn the camera, guys? Here we go. I did something with the oven mitt and I don't know what it was. Oh, I took it with me. French silk does sound good. I've never really made a French silk pie. I'm not super into custard ones. Ooh, baby. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I should have prepared a little bit more. That looks beautiful. Look at these. Look at these biscuits. Those are gorgeous. Get that close-up shot there. Look at the lift on some of these. I think I could get it more if I figured out the ingredients right. Sorry, I forgot where I was going with that. I'm going to test these a little bit and make sure that they are cooked all the way through. They are, but it's always good to like double check any recipe and make sure that you aren't pulling it too soon. So I just put a toothpick in, comes out clean. There's no raw dough in the middle of there. These look beautiful. Okay, difficult to do this one-handed, but I'm gonna move these to a cooling rack. And I think that's probably gonna be about the end of this stream, but I will, once these have cooled a little bit, take some more photos and do some taste testing and let you know how it is. See, some of those scallions got a little crispy, which I'm excited about. They look really good. Okay. This has been Making Biscuits.